Hello, and welcome back to Mafia City RP. So today, similar to the video I made a little while ago about the current state of Eclipse roleplay, we're going to be talking about the current state of Mafia City, what I think some problems are on the server, as well as how I think the server could be fixed a little bit. So we're going to be going over 5 main categories in this video, starting off with the economy of the server, going into some of the roleplay over roleplay situations that I've seen occur over the past couple months, the civilian roleplay side of the server, the gang roleplay side of the server, and end with the PD/SD RP side of the server. So first of all, before this video starts as well, I just want to say this is not a video hating on the server at all. I actually really like the server and I want to see it do well, and that is why I'm making this video. So please don't get the wrong idea and think I'm hating on the server or anything like that. I do want it to do better, and that's why I am making this video. So we'll start off again with the economy, and then we'll go on from there. Alrighty, so again, first we're going to be starting off with the economy of the server. So when the server first released, the economy was basically unbearable. It was almost impossible to make literally any money, but over time this economy has slowly changed, but in my opinion the economy of this server is definitely still a very hard one, even though it has been changed to be a little bit easier than when it first got released, but it definitely is still very difficult to make money. Now, coming into the server, this was actually one of the things that interested me the most, of course that being that it's a lot harder to make money on the server, therefore making it worth a little bit more to make. But after a lot of time and seeing what a much tougher economy does to a community, I think that the economy really does need a rework from what it is currently. And as I will go into a bit later when I talk about both the gang RP and PD/SD RP, the economy being this tough really changes a lot more than just, oh, I have to work a little bit more to get a car. It changes pretty much the whole entire server at large, which again we'll be going into in a little bit here. Having money so hard to acquire obviously in turn makes people value money a lot more than usual, and what comes out of this is that people will in turn focus more on ways to make money more, and you know, the bad part of this being that people will be very careful not to lose the money that they make, because of course they spent a ton of time getting that money, or if they do lose it, they'll care a lot more silly about the money, as they had just spent a lot of their time most likely obtaining that money. What this harsher economy leads to is people in a lot of cases caring more about how much money they make / lose over the actual roleplay in a certain scenario. Another huge part of this is of course the time investment. If someone spends 20 hours getting, let's say a couple AKs and then they lose it, most of the time they're not going to want to RP with whoever is taking those weapons away from them, because they aren't just taking away these in-game weapons, they're taking away 20 hours of that person's time. Basically, overall, I believe the economy of the server really needs a rework to make the server a lot less grindy. This is also coming from someone who initially was super against making the server easier, but after I saw how much the economy really was greatly influencing bad RP or almost no RP in general in some cases, I think it really should be reworked. Not anything crazy, just to the point where you're able to live without having to grind fishing for half the time you're on the server, so you can afford food and water. Now that's pretty much going to be it, I guess, for the economy, but as you'll see in this video, the economy does influence pretty much the whole entire majority of the server, and I'll be bringing up the economy and the next couple sections quite a bit. So next, we're going to be moving over to the roleplay versus roleplay situations that I've been seeing on the server recently taking place, and why I think they're going to be taking place, or why they are taking place, and possibly how to fix them a little bit. Alrighty, so now of course we're going to be going over kind of the roleplay scenarios that I've been seeing quite a bit on the server and potentially how to fix them. Now in my opinion, the strict rule set that the server initially started off with having to do a lot of /me's and /do's worked surprisingly well, but as time went on and people got more and more into the server, and through in-game interactions and out-of-game interactions built rivalries between groups, the rules have become more and more weapons to report each other with, rather than actual just rules to keep the server enjoyable. The main reason for this is honestly, in my opinion, a couple small rules making the big issue. The first rule I want to go over is having to quote-unquote properly roleplay your injuries. Now, the main part of this rule that makes it a real problem is it's very vague. It doesn't really give an exact definition as to what actually roleplaying your injuries means. It just says you have to roleplay them adequately to the scenario that happens. Now, this leads to a lot of confusion between different people, obviously. And the main part of it is it really does not add anything to the server. It's just a very small rule that people can nitpick and report others for, and it's gotten to the point that people literally just either have a keybind for something such as /me rubs head or other stupid stuff, and it just becomes a game mechanic that when I crash my car I have to remember to hit this keybind to rub my head, or it might get reported by a rival gang. doesn't add RP and doesn't promote RP. No one actually cares about it other than when it usually gives another player something for you to report you on. In my opinion, if this rule was just removed, it would really help out cut down on the amount of petty reports that people have had on them about someone maybe just hitting a wall at 45 miles per hour instead of 35 miles per hour, and he didn't do his injuries and just dumb stuff over and over again. I've also heard of multiple times where a gang will basically just follow a rival gang around in secret and wait for them to do super minor things, such as maybe like hit a pole or hit a wall a little too fast or something like that, just so they can report them. Now the main reason, in my opinion, why gangs have gotten to this petty report spot actually makes sense, and in most cases I don't actually blame these mass reporters for mass reporting people for really small stuff, but we'll talk about that a little bit in the gang RP side of things. But basically overall, for the Ruleplay over Roleplay, I think that the server should really just take a look at some of the rules. They really don't add too much to the server and focus on rules that actually improve the server instead of just give other people like small petty stuff to report others on. Now, of course, there are a lot of these rules, and it's going to take a long time for people to go through them and figure out what rules are really needed on the server and what rules can probably get removed to hopefully cut down on reports. But that's pretty much it for the whole Ruleplay over Roleplay scenario on the server. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about the civilian side of things on Mafia, so let's get into that right now. Now, in my opinion, Mafia City still has some of the best civilian or legal RP around, including being able to get licenses for almost any kind of business, a pretty large DOJ system, businesses being all player owned, and a couple other features, but there are definitely some problems that come from this. The first big issue is monopolization of different businesses and businesses in general. There are currently no limit on the amount of businesses a corporation or individual can own, and there have been no rules against this since the start of the server, and several monopolies have formed because of this, as well as some mega corporations that control the majority of businesses on the server. Now, I get some people may like this because it's quote-unquote realistic, but in my opinion, I feel like there should be a fine line drawn between realism as well as keeping it fun and enjoyable for the majority of the population. When the server first released, if there was a limit on the amount of businesses you could own, I feel like it definitely would have fixed most of the problems that we see today, or at least prevented the majority of issues that we're currently dealing with. The reasoning behind this is if there is a megacorp out there that just owns, let's say, 15 businesses or so, they obviously are not going to have the time to do proper RP for each business or even have to care at all if the businesses are run well because, well, frankly, they don't have to. They have the amount of income coming in from different sources or have just a few profitable businesses that they can focus on, and they can basically kind of ignore the other ones. If every corp and or individual was actually limited to, let's just say, a business or two, it would then create a healthy rivalry between businesses, forcing different businesses to either do some really cool RP to make their business stand out or build a customer base in some sort of way that involves having to RP with other players. Now, of course, these changes can't really be made nowadays, and honestly, I don't know how they would actually go about nerfing these megacorps other than having exponential taxes based on the amount of businesses owned, or forcing corporations to sell off businesses that no RP is created from, or something like that. But honestly, the whole megacorp situation is a very hard situation to now change, since there weren't any rules about it since the start of the server. It's kind of hard to change it proactively, so there definitely has to be a lot of thought put into this beforehand to make sure that people who currently own businesses aren't just getting completely screwed out of stuff, but at the same time, other people are given chances to RP with the different businesses that they want to potentially own. Now, the whole megacorp situation is definitely a big issue. It will take a long time to fix if it even ever gets fixed, but hopefully we can see some changes in the future to balance out the economy a bit more. But again, this is going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort from a lot of people to actually fix this megacorp situation, and instead, for now at least, I feel like we should probably focus on some other stuff. So next, we're going to be moving into the gang roleplay side of things, and hopefully some ways that I think it can be improved, as well as some reasons that certain activities in current criminal RP should possibly be removed or reworked completely. Alrighty, so now, again, we're going to be talking about the gang roleplay side of things on the server. Now, in my opinion, most of the problems on the server actually stem from the gangs on the server, as well as PD. So in this section and in the next one, we are going to be talking a little bit about that. Now, starting off, as I said before, most of the server does revolve around the economy, and unfortunately for gangs, the criminal economy is very tough, and in some cases even harder than civilian RP to make money. A large problem, in my opinion, is most of the criminal activities require basically you to be 100% AFK, and while you're working in a factory or RV or whatever, you're providing obviously no RP to the server, as well as you're literally not able to RP at all while you're doing these activities. To put this in perspective, to make an AK-47 in a weapons factory, it requires a minimum of 5 hours of you sitting there in the factory all alone, not talking to anyone, not providing any RP to the server, and basically just having an idle player on the server for those 5 hours. In my opinion, there should never be an activity on a roleplay server that is literally just AFKing and not providing any RP to the server or the other people on the server at all. At least with fishing or mineral transporting or anything else like that, you have chances to talk to people or interact with others while performing those jobs, while with the illegal factories, your only option is to be alone in an interior waiting for 5 hours for a single weapon. Now, stemming off of how hard it is to make money as a criminal, this creates, in my opinion, the vast majority of toxicity on the server. If an individual spends, let's say, 5 hours plus for an AK and maybe another couple hours for his medkits, his food, his ammo, his drugs, etc., and he gets killed, he's not going to be very happy OOC-ly, because it's not like he just spent 5 hours of his time role-playing with other characters to earn that weapon and maybe had some fun getting it as well, some risk, something here, something there. He literally just sat in a factory AFK for 5 hours. Now, the economy being this way as well as the weapons being this way affects almost every aspect of criminal life, and even largely affects PD life as well, but again, we will talk about that a little bit in the next section. The last part I want to go over while we are still on this topic of gang roleplay on the server is probably the biggest part, in my opinion, that creates all of this toxicity and ruins a lot of the server, in my opinion, and that is the gang wars. Now, soon after seeing wars start and continue for long periods of time, I noticed a lot of reports going through against each other's gangs and against other members in other gangs, of course, and was generally confused why so many people felt the need to start reporting others for minor stuff and doing these petty reports all the time, basically turning a whole IC war into a forum war, with trying to get other rival gang members basically just banned. But as I learned a bit more about the recent wars literally going on for months on end, I instantly understood why stuff like this is happening. There is no win condition for gang wars, so the only way for a gang war to actually end is either one gang either leaving the server in defeat or getting banned because of a bunch of small reports from the other gang. Gang wars go on for months and months and months, and not having limitations is literally the worst way to handle these gang wars, because as mentioned before, the only way to actually win the war is by having another group leave the server. In my opinion, a rule needs to really be added to limit the amount of time these wars can go on for, as well as possibly a cooldown before starting another war, and having to have win conditions for one group to be able to win a war without completely kicking another group off the server. I honestly don't blame all these forum wars going on at all, or just people reporting small petty things, because as legitimately people's in a gang war's only option left, especially if they've been in a war for an extended period of time, there's wars having no time limit just over time breeds and develops out of character hate for the other gang and breeds a high level of toxicity. Now, with that said, we're going to be talking a little bit more about these gangs as well as how the economy affects the PDRP on the server in this next section. So we're going to go into that right now, but again, the only thing that I really think needs to be changed immediately is the gang wars on the server to hopefully prevent some of the OOC toxicity that it does breed. So again, let's go into the PD and SD roleplay, as well as talking a little bit about how the economy also affects them. Now, in this last portion, we are going to be talking about the PD and SD side of things. Now, to start off, when the server first released, it had some really amazing police RP, but from all of my most recent experiences with the PD on the server, as well as what I've been told from other people about PD, it seems like most of the time, they honestly don't want to RP anymore. It seems like they really just want to get the win. Now, I came back to the server a week or so ago, and I've been on there here and there, and almost every time I have an interaction with PD, it immediately goes to, please leave the area, leave now, or they'll just straight up point a gun at you and tell you to get out of there. Now, initially, I was pissed at this, as it legitimately seems like PD does not want to RP with anyone. After a little bit of time though, trying to figure out why the PD has gotten into this strict kind of attitude, and it became apparent to me why the PD has been acting like this recently. Now, before I go on this little rant, I just want to say that I'm not trying to put any blame on any group of people or anyone in general, as I believe if the rules were different from the start, it would have not gotten to this point, and there are also some PD that does still do really good RP, and there's also some PD that, you know, has done pretty bad RP since the start. But again, we're not going to be focusing on individuals, we're going to be focusing on the server in this video. So I believe that this PD attitude really does stem from them having to deal with this gang wars that have been going on for months on end, and the PD probably being ambushed and attacked as well for months on end as well. The reason why PD, or at least the reason I believe PD, has such this anti-RP attitude almost, is that if they were to try and RP with someone who was stopping by on the scene to maybe either mess with them or have some fun, it might actually lead to an ambush for whoever they are arresting. Now, honestly, I believe if some of the rules for wars were changed on the server and we didn't have these wars going on for months on end, PD would in turn not have to deal with these giant shootouts on the daily and would hopefully be able to relax a little bit more. Something else that could possibly fix this and cut down on some of the toxicity and stress of PD being in the middle of these gang wars is that during these gang wars, when they are having giant shootouts, not allowing PD to actually enter in the middle of this gang versus gang shootout. Now, I'm not sure how PD currently operates. That even might be how they operate currently. I'm not exactly sure. But making this a rule, in my opinion, may cut down a bit more on the hate between PD and gangs as a whole. Now, I think that is going to be pretty much it for this section as well as this video. Before we end, I want to quickly go over a little overview of what I think the main problems are again, as well as how to fix them. Alrighty, so again, this is going to be the end of this video, so hopefully this video has kind of shown you guys a little bit of my ideas or my opinions of the problems on the server, as well as how I think they could be fixed. But again, in conclusion, let's just quickly go over some of the things I think should be changed immediately, and will hopefully greatly improve the server once they are changed, if they are changed. So first of all, the economy should be slightly changed so people can earn a little bit more money easier and in turn don't have to silly care about losing small amounts of items or money. There should be rules added in to limit the amount of time a gang war can be active for, as well as some win conditions or at least something where the one gang can beat another gang without having to take them off the server. And lastly, any of the activities that currently force you to AFK should be changed immediately as fast as they can to allow for more RP and less toxicity about losing items that you paid for with your time AFKing. Now hopefully some of the things I talked about in this episode can help improve the server. I once wanted to be my final RP server, and hopefully this video will lead to some improvements on the server in general. If you guys have any other ideas or want to let me know what you think about this, please let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, I think that is going to be about it for this video. Now again, hopefully some of these ideas do come out, hopefully some of this stuff does get changed in the future, but either way, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video, thanks for being here, but I do think this is going to be about it. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like, let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below, and if you want to, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.